Welcome back, class. So just to remind the class again, here are the ground rules. Please keep your phone in the silent mode, and I encourage everyone to participate and respect one another and active participation. So the learning objective is, by the end of this session, for you to be able to demonstrate the effective application of the STAR interview response technique. Before the break, we cover this topic. First, we cover what is STAR interview response technique. We cover why is the STAR technique so important. I also cover how to use the STAR technique, and then I share with you what are the 5 tips to make the most out of the STAR. Avani, you have a question?
No.
So, if you have any question that I can't answer now, I'll put it on the parking lot.
But we can ask first, and then we decide whether.
You can ask, so if for the interest of time, I'll put it in the parking lot. But if it is relevant to the topic that I'm sharing at the point in time, I'll be happy to answer your question as well. So for the rest of today, I'm going to cover the following topics. We're going to recap on the STAR technique framework, and we will do apply and practice on the STAR technique. So later on,
What
yes.
star are you referring to? Is it the one in the sky?
Oh no, yeah, but good thing that you asked me this question. STAR is a good way to remember the technique that you're going to learn later. So if you can bear with me, we're going to recap what I shared earlier today. You have a chance to apply and practice the STAR technique that was shared earlier this morning. And then I will do a wrap up to highlight what are the key takeaways so that it will help you to be able to apply more effectively the STAR technique. Any question? What is STAR interview response time? Also, what is STAR interview response technique? Christy, would you like to share what is STAR interview response technique that was discussed earlier today?
Is it the behavioral interview questions using the STAR approach?
That's correct. Right. So just to reiterate what Christy has said, STAR interview response technique is a way of answering behavioral interview questions using the STAR approach during job interview. Avani, what is behavioral interview question?
Behavioral interview question, I think it's a question the recruiter or manager asking focus the interviews, how to handle certain work situation in the past.
Excellent answer. Like what Avani said, the key points about behavioral interview question is that it is focused on questions that find out whether the interviewer have got experience in handling the various work situation in the past, so that the interviewer will be able to judge whether the person has the right skills. I'm going to now go through details of the technique framework. So how I remember is using the 4 stars to remember. So the first star is situation. Key point is about situation is that it is about identifying a specific situation. Remember, situation is not necessary that it has to be work related. I know some of you are fresh graduate. You can also share your experiences or your stories when you were in school or in a sport activity or even those committee that you join, as long as it's relevant. Important point to note about situation is that you have to make sure that you share what is the background as well as the context of the story that you're sharing so that you can set the scene. The second star is the task. Share what is the specific task that you are responsible for. An important thing is to take note that you have to be specific and be concise in your definition of the task. Another point to highlight is that if you have challenges that you face, please highlight as well, because that is also a demonstration of the kind of behavior that you have. The third star is action. So this is the part where it describes exactly what you did. Describe also how did you go about completing the task that you were assigned to do. And very important point is that focus only on what you did, and also what are the qualities that you have demonstrated that will be desirable for the interviewer to know, because this will help you to score points during the interview. And finally, results, the final star. Close with sharing what was the outcome of this situation and how you have specifically contributed to the outcome. And especially for the graduates or fresh graduates, important to share what did you learn from the experience. Any question, class? Let me share with you a few more pointers before we go into the role play. What I'd like to call your attention is that in order to master and be effective in the application of your STAR technique, you must remember to use the STAR sequentially. That means you follow the STAR. Tell a success story, not a negative story. And important to demonstrate what's the accomplishment, the skills, and the abilities. And even more important, is to demonstrate the relevant behavior. That is what the hiring manager is looking for. And why is it important that you remember this? It's because this is what the interviewer is looking for. They are looking for evidence that you have demonstrated the skills as well as the abilities that is required in the job, so that you can ace the interview. I'm going to share with you now an example of an effective application of the STAR technique. Let's use this question here as a platform to go through this. Tell me about a time you had to complete a task within a tight deadline. Sounds familiar, right? Is there anything that I'm not clear that you want me to explain further? Alright? Okay, thank you.
I don't know what he's asking.
Right. Any way I can help?
No, it's good.
All right, thank you. Okay, let me come back to this interview question. So, let me demonstrate what is an effective application. So, here's the situation where the question is targeting on whether you are able to demonstrate working with tight deadlines. So, this is a situation called the Jason situation. So, here it said that in his previous company, specific situation, an employee left before approaching the deadline of the project. So the situation is, employee has left, and then there is a project timeline to meet. And what was the task? He was asked to assume the responsibility of this project. And class, what is the challenge in this situation? What do you think is the situation? Remember I mentioned that it's important to highlight the challenge that you may face when handling the task. So what do you think is the challenge over here? Like, is this part here, right? About only given a few days to learn and then to complete the task within a short timeline. Do you think that this is a very specific task? Right? And the action, the specific action is that he created a task force and he dedicated the work. And what was the end result? He able to finish the assignment, not just within a short period of time, but ahead of time and with a day to spend. Any question on this sample response of what is effective application of the STAR technique before I go into the role play? All right. Let me just reiterate what's the learning objective before we go into this activity. So the main purpose of this activity is to demonstrate the application of the STAR interview technique. And you have a chance to practice on this. So to set the stage for this role play, I'm going to use this interview question. The question is, give an example of when you have to persuade others to your point of view. So for me to be able to play this role play, I need 2 volunteers. I need one to be the interviewer and one to be the interviewee. So who would like to be? Oh, great! I have a very enthusiastic participant here. Can you play the role of the interviewee?
Yes.
Thank you. So if you can bring a chair along. I need another more volunteer to be the interviewer. Hey, wonderful. Thank you so much for your support. Can you just bring your chair to the front?
Got right or wrong answer, no?
No, no right or wrong. So remember, the purpose is to practice the application of the star technique.
Too wrong answer, so I can go back.
No problem. The whole idea is we are here to learn. And later on, let me go through the instructions so that you have a better appreciation of what we're going to achieve from this role play. May you take a seat then? Let me just share with you briefly the instruction. So, Raman, you are the interviewer. So your role is to ask the interviewee the assigned question, which I asked later on. I've also given you the script so that you can remember what's the question to ask. You will be responsible for starting and closing the interview session. So just be natural, just do an intro like, hello, nice to meet you. And then of course, after he has responded to the question, then you close. You can follow the script to give an idea of how to do an opening and a closing. But the most important thing is that question to practice the use of the star technique. So for Daniel, who is the interviewee's role, he will respond to the question that you're going to ask later. And he will be receiving feedback from Raman, the interviewer, as well as from the class. So all of you are the observers. So what's the role of the observer? Your role is to provide feedback on what Daniel has done well and what are the areas for improvement for him. And for consistency, we are all going to use this observation checklist. So this is a guide for you to make sure that you are able to observe and to also provide your comments on whether Daniel has demonstrated each of the star steps, the STAR. Question, Raman, for the interviewer role?
No.
How about Daniel, your role for the?
No, I'm good.
Great. How about observers? Any question? Are you all clear in terms of your role?
Yes.
So Raman, Daniel, whenever you're ready, you can proceed with the role play now.
Hello,
Hello.
I'm Rahman.
Hello, Mr. Rahman. I'm Daniel.
Welcome. Please take a
Thank
seat.
you, thank you.
Do you drive here?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any difficulties coming to
No,
this
no,
office?
on Google Map.
That's
Nothing
great, that's
Google
great.
Map cannot.
That's great, that's very
bring me
good.
to.
I just want to let you know that I'll be taking some notes during this interview.
Okay, sure.
Right? Could you give me an example of when you have to persuade others to your point of view?
Okay. I can think of one specific example. Some years back, a vendor came to us to inform us that he had to increase the cost of providing services by 8%. And I was tasked to negotiate the deal with the vendor so that we could achieve a win-win situation for both the vendor as well as ourselves. So essentially, what we did was I went on to do a survey of the market rate for this particular service and managed to show the vendor or prove to the vendor through the data that an 8% increase is very exorbitant. Okay, and we proposed a 4% increase, which would have given him a reasonable margin. Okay, however, he stood firm, and but in the process, it was quite clear that there was opportunity for us to move. So what I had to do is to go back to our management to get some agreement around the specifications for the service we needed. So we made some compromises, and when we presented that to the vendor was able to review the pricing, and eventually, I would like to think that we settled on a win-win situation where we went through a 5% increase, which actually represented $500,000 savings for the organization.
Good. It's quite a lot. Okay. Thank you so much. That's all the questions I have. Do you have any questions for me?
No,
Alright, Daniel, thanks for coming down for the interview. You will hear from us in due course.
Sure. All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Rama. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Great job, natural actors. We're going to do a debrief now. So if I may call your attention to this observation checklist, class, what do you think? Do you think Daniel has done a great job? Did he demonstrate the application of all the steps in STARS?
Yes, I think Daniel has done, he has demonstrated all the steps, all in the STAR steps, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. What about money?
Oh,
What
yeah.
other things you want to add?
I believe Daniel shared very specific and concise examples.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do now is to dive deeper into which are the areas or what did Daniel said that demonstrate that he has applied the STAR technique. So in terms of the situation, did he demonstrate situation and share what did he say that demonstrate that is a situation? Christy, would you like to share?
Daniel actually mentioned that he is part of the negotiating team in his department,
Mhm.
and the supplier wanted an 8% increase.
Great, thank you so much. How about the task, Avani? Did he demonstrate the application of task?
Yes, he was able to negotiate with the supplier into a win-win situation between both parties. Yes.
Wonderful, great job, Daniel. And how about action? Christine, what was some of the action that he did?
He listened carefully to the supplier's needs, and then he collected the data to support his argument on why 8% is actually quite unreasonable. Then,
Oh, sorry. Like what I mentioned, the ground rules, maybe one person speak at a time. I think she's going to bring some good points about what Daniel, and so that at least Daniel can also hear what has been spoken.
I was confused what you say, contradict what you already taught.
Would you like to elaborate what was contradictory?
Then I'll put it in the parking lot.
Okay, what is that?
Yeah, I'll put it in the parking lot.
Oh, okay, thank you. Sorry for the interruption, Christine. Can you repeat the last statement about what were the tasks that he demonstrated in terms of the action?
the last one is he worked with his management to change some requirements so that it will be less costly for the supplier.
Precisely. And the last area, results. Money?
Oh,
Did he demonstrate the results?
Yes, he did. He was able to achieve a final agreement of only a 5% increase by saving for the company 500 grand.
Wonderful. Thank you. All of you are very great listeners. So, and Daniel has done a great job, right? That he demonstrated all the steps in STAR. All of you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is a good example of the demonstration of all the stars, and I hope that this exercise reinforced the STAR technique and the steps. So let me summarize the key takeaways from this exercise. First is be prepared. You can only do better by more practices and more preparation. What I suggest is in preparation for your next interview, prepare the questions in anticipation of the interview and practice on the response using the STAR technique that is relevant to the job. One suggestion for you to prepare the question is to read carefully the job description to pick up what are the clues about what the hiring manager is looking for in terms of the skills and the abilities. Be specific, make sure the story and example that you share is relevant to the question. Just like what Daniel has done, a great job. He was very specific to what the hiring manager is asking for in his examples. Quantitative, give the facts and figures as much as possible to reinforce and to substantiate your situation. And Daniel has done a great job again. He said 500,000 saving. He gave data, relevant data to demonstrate why it shouldn't be 8% increase, but it should be lower. Be concise, sweet, short, and targeted that is relevant to the situation. And last, be honest with your answers to the STAR question. Because the hiring managers are smart to know if they find anything that may not be quite as the truth. Any questions?
No.
So to wrap up, I'd like to share with you that these are the resources available, both in terms of reading materials and also through videos in YouTube. So this will be one way for you to look at more STAR-related questions and also responses to the questions that you can practice and master the technique of STAR application. So to sum up, what we have learned today is the learning outcome of the application of the STAR technique and how to do it effectively through the observational role play and also through a discussion of what are the steps in STAR and also what are some of the examples of STARs. Any other question, class? Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Yeah.